We're talking every NBA team for 1 minute. We will, you see that? We'll start with the New York Knicks since they did just play. I have this little bit of a cheat sheet of just so I don't miss a team because I'm always scared of missing a team. Alright, we'll start with the Knicks. Starting 30 seconds, so I have a time frame. Knicks win last night. Dominated the Cavs. Won by about 40 points. Moving on to the first finals in 27 years, right? Pretty insane stuff. They've really locked in past few weeks, and really excited to see them compete for a championship. I mean, I feel like the Knicks have kind of been tragedy after tragedy, and it's really sad. It's kind of like dead young, it's like the Bulls ever since the 90s, but the Knicks didn't really have a 90s, they had the 50s with Bernard King and, winning those 2 championships, but that was so long, none of us were alive for that, We were alive for Carmelo, and he never got one and now Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, I think they can win it. Time's running out on this, so we are going to move on to the Pistons. Pistons had a great year, 60 wins. What else did I say? Jalen Duren and Cade, they both made the All-NBA team. I think Duren, he was really good in the regular season. Slowed down in the playoffs, and the Pistons have to be pretty not happy about it, but they're like, oh, we don't have to pay this guy nearly as much. But I mean, they might have to anyway. They might have to bite the bullet because a team like the Bulls. I had seen the Bulls a lot in giving him an offer, and the Pistons have to match, which would suck for the Pistons. But they just have to develop Ron Holland. Hopefully, they can make a trade for another scorer to pair alongside with Cade. Man, it's pressure after maybe in a minute, but yeah, I think the Pistons can have, if they have a good off season, they can be right back in it and be on the same tier as these head honchos. Next one is the Celtics. What did I say about the Celtics? I mean, Jaylen Brown had that big tantrum, and Jason Tatum, I think next year they'll be locked in. Jason Tatum wasn't fully healthy, he just came off that Achilles. He probably shouldn't have played, to be honest, but he did, and he was still really good, and I think Derek White was pretty solid. The team was just different, it's a different team. They had a lot of players they got rid of, and they had a bunch of new talent on the roster. I think next year they'll still be a really good team. They'll probably be 50 wins, somewhere around their top 3 in the East, and competing for a championship. I mean, Mazzulla was one of the best coaches, and the Double J's, they're really good. So, moving on to the Cavs, who just got eliminated by the Knicks. Cavs have a big offseason, They went from, this exciting over the conference finals to being dead, yeah, now what do we do? And what they have to do is try. They only have another year or 2 with Donovan Mitchell. James Harden, I think he's only on a 1 year, if he even is on a 1 year contract. Sorry, I don't know why that was so loud. Anyway. Emo, you have to be excited for how he played in the playoffs. He was really good. Jared Allen was solid. I mean, the Cavs have a lot to look forward to, but they don't have that much because it's they have this. They see the ceiling, and now they're what do you do now? Which is a big question for this offseason for the Cavs. They got plenty of time to figure out, right? Moving on to the Raptors. Raptors, young defensive team. I mean, you have to be excited if you're a Raptors fan. Scotty Barnes. The only downside is the big, massive contracts, but even that's not that bad. Brandon Ingram kind of disappeared in the playoffs, which sucks, but you make the playoffs for the first time in a few years. You have to be excited. Plus, they're gonna have a decent first round pick. I mean, they could get a decent talent at center position, because that's really the only thing that's stopping this team from being a really good team, a really good young team, is the center position and some shooting. Grady Dick wasn't really a good pick, and they might have to get rid of him. But you gotta like this team. It's a fun team to watch. They were the 2 seed for a little while. I can see this team being really good next year. I'm getting better at this. I'm improving. Huh? The Hawks are next. I'm going to East. That's the way I'm going right now. But Hawks are next. They were kind of mediocre, other than the last stint of the season. C.J. McCollum, really, I think that was the reason. C.J. McCollum and Jonathan Kuminga. The only bad thing about this team is that they're kind of directionless, but they're not completely directionless, because they do have Jalen Johnson, who is a All-NBA, All-Star talent. He didn't make All-NBA, did he? All-Star talent. And I do think with the right assets and the right guys around him, Jalen Johnson and this Hawks team can be really good. Do I think it's enough to, win a championship? They're still super young, so give them some time. But I don't hate this team. I think they can be a really good team, solid team next year, and just keep developing their young guys like Ricochet. Minutes up. What? Oh, 76ers next. Man, need to get quicker at this. Maxey, Edgecombe. That's all I gotta say. No, I'm checking. Embiid, Daryl Morey just got fired the other day, which I think is big firing. I hope that they try to get rid of Embiid and Paul. I think you can keep Paul George, because he did kind of in the playoffs. I think he finally got healthy after that suspension, and Paul George really looked like a solid player, which might not be the same for next year, but we'll see. Embiid, he has these flashes where it's like, oh, he is a top 15 player in the world, but other than those non-flashes where he looks, out of shape and not that good, those are the parts where you're like, oh man, we're paying this guy a lot of money, and hopefully they can get rid of him and try to build around these 2 really good backcourt players. Magic's next. They just fired their coach, Jamal Mosley. They have talent. Banchero and Wagner, that's all the talent you really need to be a competitive team, I think. They just need to find out their offense, right? If they can have a really good offense, this team will be a top 3 team in the East. Or at least top 5 team in the East, And they were, a healthy Franz Wagner game from beating the Pistons. They just didn't get it. And Jamal Mosley's a solid head coach, but he has a ceiling. His offense wasn't working. And they're going to have to change some things, Which I think, great time to do it, right? Moving on to the Hornets, Charlotte Hornets. Have to be excited if you're a Hornets fan. I mean, this is the first time your team has had success in a very long time. Of course, they didn't have that much success. They just made it in the play-in, but they were a lot better of a team. And I think they'll make the playoffs next year. LaMelo Ball, solid. Brandon Miller had a step up this year that you're like, whoa, he can actually be a really good player. Concanapple was really the reason that they were this good. Second in Rookie of the Year votes. He's a great talent. I think whatever they do with this first round pick and how they develop their guys, they're going to be a good team next year. They're going to be a really, really good team next year. I think they'll make their first playoffs next year. I mean, what's not to like about the Hornets right now? Really fun, really fast. They are a young, fun team, and like to see them to succeed. Heat, mediocrity at its finest is Miami Heat. They can't pick a direction. They're not up, they're not down, they're right in the middle, and they can't stay that way for too much longer. I know Pat Riley was like, "Oh, we'll never trade Bam," and I don't think you have to trade Bam to get better or worse. I think Bam can stay on this team if they're rebuilding or if they're trying to be more competitive, which who knows what they're going for, at the end of the day. They could just be like, oh, we're fine with being mediocre, which they might just have to be fine with being mediocre, because unless they find a really good trade target for Tyler Hero or Norman Powell, which I don't think they're going to either get that much attention, and I don't think they're going to trade for Giannis or anything like that, because they don't have the assets for it. They're probably just going to stay mediocre, which sucks for Miami, but we're moving on. Bucks have the 10th pick. I'm not talking about Giannis for an entire minute, alright? I might as well just save my voice, alright? No, I'm joking. I will talk about Giannis. If they trade him, that's what encapsulates this entire team. If they trade him, rebuild. If they don't trade him, that's the question. If they don't trade him, then you're stuck with a mediocre team with a really good player. A mediocre team with a really good player sucks, but sometimes that happens, Like Robinson on the Spurs, it just happens. Sometimes you gotta take this was kind of their break year, because Giannis wasn't fully healthy. He didn't have a second superstar, and hopefully this 10th pick can really add something to this team. I can see projected Nate Amen a lot, and I would like that for them, but he's not someone that's going to just change the franchise. So they have a lot of questions. Moving on to the Bulls. Finally rebuilding. The Bulls are finally rebuilding. They finally have a direction, which is suck, And they got a top 4 pick, which is just great for them, I think they're gonna bounce back pretty good, I could see them being the playoffs within the next 3 to 5 years, I think it's a lot easier to bounce back nowadays, because it's like, oh, if you tank for 3 years, you're gonna get a decent pick in one of them, or if you're even like slightly above, just completely tank. You can still learn these guys, and get solid role players, from higher picks, lower picks in the draft. My gosh, I'm speaking a different language. No. Yeah, I think the Bulls have a good, and they're hiring more front office, getting a new coach. It's going to be different in Chicago. Moving on to Nets, they're doing what the Cleveland Browns are doing, where they drafted a bunch of quarterbacks, They're doing the exact same thing. It's like, we're going to draft 10 guys in this draft, and we're just going to see if any of them pan out, And it's like, I don't know if that's going to work, but it might work. I don't know. Igor Denham is pretty good. Michael Porter Jr. is pretty good. They'll probably try to trade him this upcoming season. I think he still's got a year or 2 on his deal, so they're kind of in purgatory right now. I'll be honest. They're rebuilding, which it's, gonna take time. And I think they got a few young guys who are really talented on the roster, but they don't have any direction, and they just have to find that. They have 3 years to find it, and I think they can be like low-key competitive, if so. Pacers got completely blasted by the draft lottery, which sucks for them, right? They don't have a first-round pick, so it's kind of like, oh, this entire year of being a bad team just means nothing now. That sucks. But you get Tyrese Halliburton coming back, which is going to be really fun. I feel like I missed a team, but I didn't miss a team. Tyrese coming back. I think they'll be competitive next year. I don't think they're going to go on a run and win the championship, but I could see him being like a conference finals team, That doesn't seem out of the... But it's like, if they're not as good as they were last year, then it's going to suck not having that pick. But I think some of these guys developed, like Jarris Walker developed, where he's a bit of a better role player. And now you got Zubac, who's a really good player. I went over the minute on that one, but we got the Wizards. Wizards last team in the East. I think I'm going to make this video 2 parts because my throat is completely fried from talking. No, I'm joking. It's not. But I think it would work better as two parts because I'm going to talk about the Wizards for more than a minute. Wizards, they got the first pick. They're thanking God for that. I think the Wizards can be really good. The AD and the Trae Young trade shocked me because I was like, the Wizards doing this, But they traded for AD, trading for Trae Young. I think they'll be really good. I think they're going to get AJ DeMonsta, the Monster, as I say. I think they're going to be a really good team, and they might make the playoffs next year if they're all healthy, which is the big what if, Hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for part 2. I may record it and upload it as soon as I possibly can. Hope you enjoyed.